Row the boat, row the boat, row the boat. What a great way to start out the sports talk here. What up, Mikey's crew? It's your good friend Michael here. And Western Michigan continues their success. And welcome sports fans as well to another edition of Sports Talk. That's what we're going to be talking about today. It's going to be a little bit shorter sports talk today. We're actually not going to go around and talk about everything in college football. We're going to just focus on Western Michigan today and Michigan, since this video is actually going to be coming out pretty late tonight. A long upload would send that video into tomorrow, and I really want to get this out tonight. So we'll just talk about Western Michigan and Michigan today. Well, we will run down the Mid-American Conference scoreboard and Big Ten scoreboard and the NFL scoreboard as well. But let's get focused first, or let's get started. Talk about Western Michigan and their victory over Northern Illinois. They beat them 45-30 on Saturday, and I happened to be in attendance in that game with my wife. So we did shoot a video at the game. There's some pregame festivities, some halftime festivities in there as well, but we did get some highlights of the game. Sorry, my iPad, I can't really zoom it in. It become really grainy, so some of the highlights are pretty far away. I understand that. But we did get some good footage at the game. Nice crowd, too. 28,000 plus at that game. Probably one of the biggest crowds I've ever seen for Western Michigan football in quite a long time. And, I mean, the excitement continues with the season. Broncos, literally, I think from what ESPN said, had about a 5% chance of going 6-0 to start the season. But here they are. And this is the first time also they beat Northern Illinois since the year 2008 when they beat them 29-26. And the first time since Western Michigan started 6-0 since 1941. So it's just amazing what P.J. Fleck has done with the Broncos. I mean, he's a great motivator of his players, he's great at coaching them as well. All the assistants he's brought in to help coach them up. These players he keeps them focused, he keeps them grounded, and he keeps everything in front of them. They're not, getting too high up on themselves for, being ranked for the first time ever in the AP poll as well. They come in at number 24 this week. They don't get too high up on that, or they get too high up on their 6-0. They don't look at down the road to other teams. They focus specifically on the team they're playing that week. So, like Coach Fleck said, they went 1-0 in the Northern Illinois season. Now they focus on the Akron season. And that's such a great way to take the program. And like I said, I think Western Michigan can win. I mean, as a fan, I can look at this and say, I think they could win every game this season. And and I know that Toledo game is a big one, and they should be 11-0 heading into that game. They win that, they go to Ford Field, play in the MAC championship game. The team they play this weekend, Akron, could be the team that they face at Ford Field. They could also face Ohio. I think that's one of the two teams they would face. And if they go undefeated, there is the possibility of a New Year's Day Bowl. The highest Power 5 champion would be going to a New Year's Day Bowl. So Houston right now may be ranked higher than Western, but because Navy beat them this past weekend, even if Houston remained higher than Western would get that spot. The Broncos, though, they obviously need to keep on winning. They need the other Broncos to lose too, Boise State, because they're actually ranked in front of Western, and they will continue to be ranked in front of them as long as they keep winning. So anyways, going back to the game on Saturday, I thought Western Michigan did a fantastic job on the offensive side of the ball. They were able to move the ball up and down the field, on the ground, and through the air. Near the end of the first half, they stopped moving it, and that gave Northern Illinois a chance to get really back in the game. Zach Terrell took a shot, scrambling toward the goal line earlier in the game. People thought maybe he was going to get knocked out with a concussion, which would have been devastating for Western. What Coach Fleck said after the game was basically he had bit through his mouth guard and bit his tongue is what had happened. So it rattled him a little bit. Once the second half started, though, Western Michigan got back going on the offensive side of the ball. They only gave up 13 second half points to Northern Illinois as well. And Coach Fleck said, too, this team, Northern Illinois team, and the Georgia Southern team they faced were the toughest teams they were going to have to face up to match up with all season. Northern Illinois has a scrambling quarterback. Georgia Southern obviously ran the triple option, and Northern Illinois came in with Maddie, who was their third string quarterback, and he ran around a lot on the field. And of course, then the defense starts to tune in on that to try to focus on stopping the quarterback, and then the next thing you know, you're hit for a deep pass down the field, which Western was kind of burned a little bit. At least once in the game, they were burned down the field. Late in the game, when they knew Northern Illinois had to pass, they were able to create a couple of turnovers, which sealed the game off for the Broncos. Anyways, let's run down some of the stats. Maddie, wasn't that great passing, 14 to 30 for 224 yards, a touchdown, interception, but he did run for 111 yards on 17 carries. And their running backs, too, 9 carries, 79 yards for Huff. And, this name's going to be hard to say. Boganon, I think that's how you say it, 11 carries, 59 yards. And Western Michigan, Zach Terrell was 18 to 23 for 327 yards and 3 TDs. Jarvion Franklin carried most of the way for Western Michigan, 31 carries, 169 yards, and a touchdown. Devon Tucker stepped up as well, 6 carries for 52 yards and a touchdown. Eskridge had 1 carry for 21 yards. Fabian Johnson had 1 carry for 13 yards. But, Jamari Bogan did not play in this game. And you know what? That's okay that he didn't play, because we have, the Broncos have Jarvion Franklin as well. And Devon Tucker has stepped up nicely into the second string spot right now, running back. And I can definitely guarantee you, once Bogan is back healthy, him and Franklin are definitely going to split the carries again. But you're going to see Devon Tucker also start carrying the ball as well. I don't know how long Levante Bellamy is going to be out for. I'm sure that injury, that's been disclosed already. That happened way back during the Illinois game. But right now, they're not really missing him that much, although I know they do miss him. But, so much depth at the running back position for Western Michigan is so incredible to see. So awesome, so amazing. They just, whoever, it's basically next man up. And, people might say, well, Franklin did so well his freshman year. He got MAC freshman of the year, and then Bogan comes in and he gets MAC freshman of the year, and you have 2 running backs, and you might think these 2 guys would be butting heads with each other, wanting to carry the ball more, but no, these guys are great teammates with each other. Franklin and Bogan are. But here's the thing. With the way Franklin is running and with the way Tucker has been running, I would suggest the Broncos do not bring back Jamari Bogan until he is fully healthy. That's just what I'm thinking. I mean, you can continue to run Franklin, you can continue to run Tucker. Franklin's more of the power back, and I can see Tucker definitely has the speed as well. He had a 26-yard touchdown run. Franklin had a touchdown. Terrell had a rushing touchdown. Terrell threw for 327 yards and 3 interceptions, 3 touchdowns. Speaking of that, of turnovers, Western has not turned the ball over at all this season. 6 games into the season, 0 turnovers. That is probably one of the most incredible stats to come out so far for the Western Michigan Broncos. Not just that they're 6-0, they're ranked in the top 25. They're doing all these things on the offensive side of the ball. 0 turnovers. That's amazing to see. Corey Davis, another big game. 6 receptions, 122 yards, 2 touchdowns. And one of those was a one-handed catch. Also, Corey Davis passes Greg Jennings, who was the all-time leader for Western Michigan in receiving touchdowns. Corey Davis now holds the program record. Jarvion Franklin had a receiving touchdown as well, although I thought he should have had 2. They ruled him that he stepped out of bounds at about the 23-yard line. And from looking at the replay, I never saw him step out at all. They reviewed the play because they thought that Northern Illinois had targeted Western Michigan, had targeted Franklin. That was reversed, but they still called a personal foul on him, on the Northern Illinois player. Michael Henry, 5 receptions, 60 yards. And Carrington Thompson, glad to see him back after that Central game. He was rattled, looked like he had a concussion. After a targeting call was reversed in that game as well, That one was definitely, I believe, targeting, and I don't know why that was reversed, but he came back with 3 receptions for 57 yards on the day. Robert Spillane had an interception in the game along with Justin Ferguson. That was great to see. Butch Hampton made a field goal and 6 extra points. So let's get some of the team stats now for the Broncos. They possessed the ball way more than Northern Illinois, 35 minutes, 20 seconds to 24:40. Western had 573 yards to 484 for Northern Illinois. 28 first downs for the Broncos to 26 for Northern. Western 6 of 14 on third down, 7 of 15 for Northern Illinois on third down. Both teams were perfect on fourth down. Northern Illinois 1 for 1, Western 2 for 2. Western 327 passing yards to Northern's 233. Western had 246 rushing yards to Northern's 251. Both teams had 6 penalties on the day. And those are your team stats for Western Michigan. Now, here's the thing. The next game Western plays is Akron. And let's preview that game. Akron 4-2 on the year coming into the game. They're right now sitting tied for first atop the Mid-American Conference East Division with Ohio. So those two teams, I think, are going to battle out to see who goes to Ford Field. Western's going to have to face some really speedy receivers coming up on Saturday. Akron doesn't have much of a rushing attack, so Western really going to have to key in on the pass. Although, because of the rushing yards Western gave up on Saturday, maybe Akron might try the run. But I think most of those rushing yards were coming just because of the scrambling quarterback aspect that Northern Illinois had. If you go back and you look at the 2 games, Northern Illinois and Georgia Southern, the teams that, Coach P.J. Fleck was saying it's hard to match up against, they gave up 30 and 31 points in those games because of that big-time rushing attack, and you might not know, what could happen. Is the quarterback going to run? Is the running back going to run? Are they going to beat us with a pass instead? Whereas, they only gave up 21 to Northwestern, 21 to North Carolina Central, 10 to Illinois, and 10 to Central. You kind of got to figure 20 points is going to be the range maybe that Akron scores on Saturday, although I'm going to say a little bit less than that. I'm going to say Akron scores only 14. But you got to deal with these speedy receivers, and this is what Coach P.J. Fleck said. It's the speediest receivers we're going to have to face all year. So we'll have to see how they match up. They're going to have to match up well on the outside with the cornerback position. Maybe Darius Phillips can pick off a couple of passes. Safeties can't overcommit, and they have to definitely help out the cornerbacks during the game. I think Western can stop the run, no doubt about that. And Akron gives up a lot of points too. They give up over 30 points a game. I think that's going to bode well for Western. Even though the game's going to be on the road, it's going to be in Akron. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a hostile environment in there. It's going to be 3:30 on CBS Sports Network, by the way, as well. I think Western Michigan can definitely run the ball on Akron, control the clock, and definitely open up the passing game for Corey Davis, Michael Henry, and Carrington Thompson as well. I think you're going to see a lot of Franklin and Devon Tucker as well. We'll have to see if Bogan will be back. Like I said, if he's not 100% healthy, I don't think Western will play him, and I think that's just a good thing. Don't play him until he's fully healthy. I think Western Michigan wins the game by the score of 41-14 over Akron. Western, I know, was coming into the game only 11-point favorite, but I think because it's a road game, they might be giving Akron a little bit more closer margin than what they think it's going to be. So I think if Western can definitely stop the passing attack of Akron, I think, and don't turn the ball over, don't have dumb penalties, simple things right there. I think Western Michigan wins. So let's run down the Mid-American Conference scoreboard, by the way, from Week 6 as well. Bowling Green, they lost to Ohio 30-24. Akron, the team we just mentioned, beat Miami, Ohio 35-13. Toledo beat Eastern Michigan 35-20. Central Michigan beat Ball State 24-21. Kent State all over Buffalo 44-20. So let's run down the Big Ten Conference scoreboard really quickly here before we move on and talk about Michigan's rout. And I mean, rout's putting it lightly. I mean, they literally destroyed Rutgers in that game. Ohio State tops Indiana 38-17. In a defensive struggle, Iowa beats Minnesota 14-7. Penn State all over Maryland, 38-14 to hand Maryland their first loss of the year. And in this game, once again, Joey Julius, the Penn State kicker, was nailed on a kickoff return. A Maryland player nailed him. The Maryland player has been suspended as well. Now, here's the thing. And I mentioned this last week, too, how Minnesota went after him. Now, this guy isn't just a normal kicker. He's a big boy. This is a big boy kicker, and he's not afraid to go down and tackle players. He already hit Jordan Lewis from Michigan really hard earlier in the season, and I think after that is when these other teams have really started going after him, because it's like, if you're going to come down and try to lay the lumber on one of our players, well, we're going to lay the lumber on you. And in that Minnesota game, Julius got hit right in the shoulder, up high, didn't get hit in the helmet or anything, and went down like a cheap piece of cardboard. Same thing against Maryland. Gets hit in the shoulder, goes down like a cheap piece of cardboard, laying there on the ground. He sold the whole thing, definitely. And that's probably why this Maryland player has been suspended. And the Minnesota player got ejected from the game. So, seriously, Julius, if you're going to lay the lumber on somebody, you better expect it back, because it's going to be coming to you every single game. I can guarantee it. BYU beats Michigan State 31-14. Michigan State has lost 3 in a row. Ouch. And Purdue tops Illinois 34-31. Purdue has a winning record at 3-2. We'll see if they actually finish with 1. I don't know about that. But guess who Michigan plays next? Illinois. And that's not this weekend, so we will not preview the game, but I can guarantee you right now, Michigan might put up about 60 points on them, if not more. So the Rutgers game. By the way, have they showed up yet for the Michigan game? Did they not realize it took place on Saturday? Michigan won the game 78-0, and you can guarantee that Jim Harbaugh knew that Ohio State put 58 on Rutgers, and he wanted to put more on them. And by the way, Ohio State did it in their own stadium. Michigan went to Rutgers and put up 78. And Michigan's first road game of the year. Packed crowd. Rutgers had over 200 recruits come into this game. Guarantee you right now, none of those recruits want to go to Rutgers. They probably want to go to Michigan or other schools. I guarantee you that none of those... If one of those recruits wants to go to Rutgers, check their heads, because do they really want to lose that bad? 78-0. It's almost like video game stats that we're going to tell you here. All right, let's just run this down. Let's just run down the stats right now. Wilton Spate, 6 of 13, 100 yards and 1 touchdown. He didn't need to throw in the game. Here's your rushing stats for Michigan. Chris Evans, 11 carries, 153 yards. Higdon, 13 carries, 108 yards, 2 touchdowns. Isaac, 12 for 99, 2 touchdowns. Peppers, 3 for 74, 2 touchdowns. Henderson, 3 for 26 and a touchdown. Khalid Hill, 2 touchdowns on 2 one-yard carries. 9 rushing touchdowns, a program record for Michigan. Oh, of course, you'd expect that after that. 481 total yards rushing for Michigan. Rutgers, 34 rushing yards, 5 passing yards. Unbelievable. Also, by the way, just to let you know, they averaged less than 3 Subway footlongs per play. A Subway footlong, 12 inches, they couldn't average 36 yards per play. Unbelievable. 23 first downs to 2. 2 for Rutgers. They both came in the fourth quarter. 0 for 17 on third down. Michigan was 6 for 11. 600 total yards for Michigan to 39 for Rutgers. 2 of 18 passing. They rushed it 34 times for 36 yards. They averaged 0.9 of a yard a carry. That might be where the Subway footlong thing comes in. 7 penalties for 41 yards. Amazingly, only 1 turnover, and Michigan had 1 as well. I don't know how they did this, but they somehow possessed the ball for 26 minutes in this game. It must be because Michigan scored so fast, and Rutgers is like, we're just going to run the ball, get it down to about 0 on the play clock, then we'll snap it. 33 minutes, Michigan had the ball. Holy cow. And Jabril Peppers played quarterback in this game as well, just so you know. So he got, to play on the offense. He had a punt return call back for a touchdown also in this game. So I'll tell you what, Michigan was phenomenal. They did a fantastic job on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. They're gonna roll through opponents the rest of the year. Let me just tell you that right now. Let me repeat the score one more time. 78-0. I just laugh thinking about this because I think about playing video games. I would hold opponents to this many yards, or I would score this many points. Oh, and by the way, Jabril Peppers for Heisman. You can do bad things on the defensive side of the ball, the offensive side of the ball, special teams. Everywhere, Michigan control every phase of the game. Yes, and I know it's Rutgers, and guess what? They play Illinois this week. It's going to be the tickle fight of the week in between Illinois and Rutgers. I'll tell you that right now. There's not much to say else in this game that Michigan just ran the ball all over Rutgers and played awesome on the defensive side of the ball. Yeah, they've scored a lot of points this year. It makes you wonder how they only scored 14 on Wisconsin. It does make you think a little bit there. So let's quickly run down the Big Ten scoreboard from Week 6, and then we'll run down the NFL scoreboard also, and tell you what happened in the NFL this past weekend. Lions, by the way, had a nice victory over the Eagles. We'll just say that right now. And hopefully Trevor Siemian gets back for Denver soon because Paxton Lynch still needs time to develop before he starts any more games. Oh, I forgot. We actually already ran down the Big Ten scoreboard. That's like 2 times now I've accidentally forgotten that I've already ran down that. So we'll quickly run down the NFL scoreboard. Like I was talking about, Paxton Lynch, he's only a rookie, so I'm not going to, harp on him too much. But he definitely needs more time to develop. Trevor Siemian's had his time to develop behind Peyton Manning. And he's definitely done a good job, and he showed it so far. They play Thursday night, by the way, Denver does, against San Diego. And the Lions' next opponent, we'll find out in just a minute here. But let's run down the scores here. Arizona defeated San Francisco 33-21. By the way, Colin Kaepernick starting in the next game for the 49ers. Lions came back after they had the lead and won 24-23 over the Philadelphia Eagles. So they kicked a field goal late and then picked off Carson Wentz as he tried to go deep late in the game. Patriots with Tom Brady back at the helm smashed the Browns 33-13. The Browns lose another starting quarterback. I give up on the Browns this year. Not like I ever had any hope for them in the first place. But Cleveland fans, look at this. You've only got 11 more games in the season. You can look forward to the offseason and you'll be 0-0 again. And maybe in the draft you'll do well. I don't know. 0-16 for Cleveland. Mark it now. Colts beat the Bears 29-23. Titans get a win because the Dolphins can't win 30-17. Redskins hold on to defeat the Ravens 16-10. Vikings undefeated 5-0. Take down the Texans 31-13. Same score for the Steelers and Jets 31-13. Falcons defeat the Broncos, giving their first loss of the season 23-16. Cowboys double up the Bengals 28-14. Dak Prescott continues to impress. Has set the rookie mark now for the most pass attempts without an interception. The Los Angeles Rams lost to the Buffalo Bills 30-19. How about the Oakland Raiders? They are 4-1. They defeated the San Diego Chargers 34-31. Packers win on Sunday night 23-16 over the Giants. And what's wrong with Carolina? They stink. They are pathetic. Defense, offense, Cam Newton's out. They lose to Tampa Bay 17-14. Just an awful Monday night game. Let's just say that right there. So that will wrap up this edition of Sports Talk. My wife's in the background.
Hi.
She's like literally trolling on me right now. Probably just standing there. Yeah, you are. Totally.
I'm getting my shoes off.
Drop a thumbs up on this video if you enjoyed it. What do you think Western Michigan is going to do this weekend against Akron? Offer up any other projections for this week in college football or the NFL. Major League Baseball playoffs, those are going on. Hopefully, Red Sox are out, but the Cubs, hopefully they can win the World Series and their curse of the Billy Goat. Thank you for watching, and thank you for subscribing. You have to subscribe over here for more content. You're pointing the wrong way. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Links are in the description below. And until next time, this is Mike Loudon over and out. Mikey's Crew! You guys are the best. Take care. Roll the boat! That's all I have to say.